In 1987, ADHD was added to the Psychiatric Diagnostic Manual. In 1990, around 900,000 American children had it. By 2003, 7.8 million, and by 2013, 15 million. The disorder didn't change, the world around it did. Leon Eisenberg was one of the men most responsible for popularizing ADHD as a clinical diagnosis. He shaped the diagnostic criteria. He spent his career advocating for it. In 2012, 7 months before he died, he gave an interview to a German magazine called Der Spiegel. He was 87. He said, ADHD is a prime example of a fictitious disease. Now, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean children who don't struggle to focus. They do. It doesn't mean hyperactivity isn't real. It is. It doesn't mean the medication doesn't help. For many people, it genuinely does. What it means is that there is a pattern of behavior was labeled a disorder, and that label created a market, and that market had a financial interest in the label growing. Pharmaceutical companies spent hundreds of millions marketing stimulants directly to parents, to school counselors, to general practitioners who were not psychiatrists, but suddenly found themselves diagnosing a psychiatric condition. And the drugs worked well enough that diagnoses snowballed. Here's a number that should stop you. Children born in December are 30% more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than children born in January. Same year, same country, same schools. 30% more likely. Because the youngest kids in a class look more distractible, look more impulsive, can't sit as still. Not because their brains are disordered, just because they're younger. The research on this is clear and consistent. The enrollment cutoff date of your school is one of the strongest predictors of whether you'll receive an ADHD diagnosis, more predictive than your actual neurology. And once the label is there, it changes things. Teachers treat you differently, you treat yourself differently. The diagnosis becomes identity, the story becomes the explanation for everything. This isn't about dismissing real struggles. Attention difficulties are real. The neuroscience is real. Many people genuinely benefit from the diagnosis and the treatment. But a 1,500% increase in diagnoses in 30 years is not a medical discovery. It is a cultural event, wrapped in a medical label, sold with a prescription pad. And somewhere between the children who genuinely needed help and the pharmaceutical companies that needed sales is a question nobody is asking loudly enough. What does it say about a school system where sitting still for 6 hours is the definition of normal, and children who can't do it are the ones who are considered broken? What if the environment is the disorder?